Hi you guys, this is Carol, and we're going to look at some pedigrees now in this mini lecture. So the first thing is to notice here, when we do pedigrees for families, you want to be able to show which is male, which is female, which is the individual that's affected, which is the individual that's not. So there's a code for that. So the female is always going to be a circle. The male is going to be a square. Now, if the female is affected, has a specific disease that we're thinking about, it's going to be filled in like this. And if the male has that specific disease, it's going to be filled in. If, however, they are carriers for the disease, in other words, they are heterozygous, then half of the little box or half of the circle will be filled. Okay? So it's telling you here, a pedigree depicts family relationships and phenotypes. So we want to know whether a certain disease is running in a family or not, how many of the offspring get it, and when those offspring have children, how many get it. And so it's very helpful to see the genetics of some of these diseases. It's interesting that many geneticists go to a specific group of individuals that keep very good records of this in their families, and those are the Mormons. They keep very good records, and so geneticists go to them and ask them for those records to be able to study some of these diseases and how they are inherited. It's very interesting. Okay, so this is a pedigree for colorblindness. If you remember, colorblindness is only inherited on the X chromosome, not on the Y. So males tend to get it more. And that might sound counterintuitive. Why do they get it more if it's not on the Y? And that's because they only have one chance to get it right, whereas the female has two. She can have the dominant, which is normal, and the recessive, which is a carrier, and not be affected. Whereas the male, given that it's only carried on one of his alleles, once he has that one recessive, he will have the disease. So look at this inheritance here of colorblindness that is sex-linked. So you have a male with it, a female, this is male, female, and they have all these children. Of the children, two of the girls, they're carriers, but they don't have it. And this male son is not a carrier, but mates with someone who is a carrier. And so take a sort of a sweeping look at this, and you see that males, boxes filled in. Females, rarely. Here we have one, rarely. So you would then be able to guess that this is a sex-linked recessive disorder. It's recessive because it doesn't show up a whole lot. And this individual isn't affected. This individual isn't affected. If it were dominant, you would have no half-filled boxes. Let's look at another one. This pedigree tracks an autosomal, which means it's not on the sex chromosomes, the last pair. It's autosomal, which means it's on a different chromosome, not the sex chromosomes. And it's dominant. So there's our key again down below. We look at it. Do you see any boxes or circles that are half filled? No, because it is dominant. So all you need is one of those alleles, and that's it. You have the disease. So I could show you one of these, and you could be able to guess that it is a dominant disorder, and it's not sex-linked. Okay, this is an autosomal recessive. So this one again isn't on the sex chromosome, but look, I have half-filled boxes, and seemingly for male and for female, in this generation, again for female and male, and then here both of them get it. So this is not dominant, it would be recessive because you have these individuals that are carriers, heterozygous, that are not affected by the disease. So your best guess there is that it is an autosomal recessive disorder. Autosomal again, because it's not favoring male or female. Again, back to a sex-linked one. If we look at a sex-linked one, we look, males, yes, gets it, gets it, gets it. And when it comes to the females, none of them, but they do carry the disease. So you would know that it's X-linked, it's on the X chromosome, and it's recessive because you have these that are not completely filled in. So these are grandparents, first generation, and then second generation. So here they're calling it first, second, and third generations. Fun. Okay, this is a very weird and common one. Just going to show it to you, but it doesn't happen where you have an X-linked dominant. Most X-linked are recessive. So here it's everyone's getting it here. It's both the female and the male, even though it's on the X chromosome. So very weird. I'll never show you one of these on a quiz. That's the last thing I wanted to show you. So just a reminder when you're trying to do your problems is that you need to know how to do a monohybrid cross, a dihybrid cross, incomplete dominance, codominance when both of them show, sex-linked, and then the pedigrees that I just showed you. Okay, I'm going to cut this mini lecture there.